Okay, so we're going to use the universal bank data, and let's do a data partition, and let's do 60, 30 and 10. Okay. Model neural network. Okay. Right. Let's examine the variables. Okay. So they're all good. Okay. So there are two properties that are important here. Okay. So one is network, the other is optimization. So these are the two that we'll have to look at and examine. Okay. The rest of them are not really, we can just accept the default. Okay. Model selection criteria set to profit and loss. Okay. But for that to be used, we should have set the decision weights when we did the data. Okay, the profit and loss. Yeah. We didn't do that. So the model selection will be different. Okay, it will be misclassification, right? But we don't have, only if we set the profit in the metadata and then wanted to use misclassification, then we have to change it, because if the costs are available, then profit and loss will be used. Otherwise, it will default to misclassification. Okay, so let's look at network and optimization, right? So network. So network is where we specify the architecture and the initial values, right? So first is architecture is multi-layer perceptron, so which is what we have been looking at. Now, direct connection is if you want the input nodes to be directly connected to the output nodes, in addition to going through the hidden layer, if you want direct connection. Okay? And the default is no, usually you wouldn't want that. So here, number of hidden units, that's your number of nodes in the hidden layer. Specify the number of n hidden units you want in the hidden layer. The permissible values are between 1 and 64. So you can have up to 64 nodes in the hidden layer. Okay. Now, randomization distribution is okay, so that is for the initial value. Okay, specifies the type of distribution to apply to the weights in your user-defined network. So how do you come up with your initial weights, right? So initial weights, you can use any one of these three distributions. Okay. Now, randomization center. So that is, if you want the weights to be centered, okay, you want the weights to be in a range with the center being 0. So there will be some negative weights and there will be some positive weights, okay, which is what you normally would want. Okay, unless there is some reason why you don't want that, then you can shift the center of the range from which the weights will be chosen, okay, will be different. Randomization scale. So that is how far out you want to go from the 0. Yeah. So specify the scale of the distribution of the weights. From 0, how far out to the negative side, how far out to the positive side. Yeah. Now, input standardization, so that is the predictors coming in. Okay, what kind of standardization you want. Okay. Standard deviation, so that will be your z-score or none or range or mid-range. So we can, if you select range, that will convert the inputs into a scale of 0, 1, 0 to 1. That is the standardization that will be performed. Okay. All right. So that's it. So that's what those are the things that you want to set. Okay. So we will keep the defaults for the others. Okay. So that completes your network. And then optimization. Okay, here you don't have to. Usually you can just use the defaults. Okay, but let's look at what we have. The training technique. Okay, so that is how, what kind of methodology you want to use for the changing the weights. Right? We did the backward propagation. All right. So like that. So here default will be, you're leaving it up to SAS to figure out what would be the best. So you go through some computations to figure out what would be the best method. Okay. So there are several of these. Now these last three, these are the propagation methods. Okay. If you use any one of these three, like back prop, okay. Now if you leave it at default, then you will see that if you come down here to propagation options, so you have the learn, that's your learning factor. The learning factor is grayed out. You can't change it. Okay. If you want, so because L is valid only for backward propagation techniques. So if you use back prop, then your learn rate will be active and you can change it. And once again, remember we talked about this. Okay. What learn rate should you use? It's completely arbitrary. You have to try trial and error, and that's one of the reasons why backward propagation is kind of people don't like it because of this. Okay, and there are other parameters that you can set: maximum number of iterations, how many epochs you want to run, maximum time, so those kinds of things. Okay. All right, let's click OK. Now you run. Okay, let's look at the results. So here, personal loan, number of levels, can have a bunch of estimates, right? And here are the parameters. So misclassification rate, right? So it's very good, and that's usually the case. Neural network will probably give you very good results compared to other methodologies. And we have the validate percentage, and here is our classification matrix.